solving the problem is seeing to it that the typhoon victims get a clean, potable clean water. Yung source na malinis. Tapos kung wala, yung bottled water na lang. Kung mayroong adequate supply, kung nag-stabilize na yung sitwasyon sa tubig, wala nang problema, okay lang. We minimize the people drinking contaminated water. If you still have money, sabihin mo sa kanila, priority, pagkain, of course, pati tubig. Importante talaga tubig. In every disaster, wherever it is, a fire, landslide, or tidal waves, sinabi ko, uli-uli, I seem to be repeating it always. But para ma-remind lang ang lahat, sunog, experience ko, I got this when I was mayor. Ang unang magsama ako yung ang unang hiningi na tao, tubig talaga. Lalo na kung under stress, tubig ang hanap. So bilisan talaga ninyo yung tubig, because tubig is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yun ang experience ko. Importante talaga tubig na mainom.
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lehan. It's day 2 of the implementation of the no vaccine, no ride policy here in the metro. Mon Gualvez now reports to us live from Commonwealth Avenue to give us the latest on this. Good morning, Mon. How are the inspections going so far?
Charles, if yesterday authorities just gave warnings, now they have started issuing tickets to some buses that did not follow the no vaccine, no rule policy here in Commonwealth Avenue. Even if only one passenger was proven unvaccinated, authorities led by the Interagency Task Force for Traffic, or IAC, LTFRB, and Quezon City's Task Force Disciplina would immediately issue a ticket. One of the apprehended conductors said their passengers appealed that they already scheduled for vaccination, but law enforcers did not accept this excuse. A ticket is equal to a 5,000 pesos penalty against the driver, while the operator would also be summoned by the LTFRB. On the other hand, apprehended passengers were made to alight from the PUV and sent straight to the QC Memorial Circle to get their jobs as soon as possible. But one security guard refused to get inoculated because of his existing heart condition, although he could not afford to get a medical certificate to prove his condition. On the other hand, other passengers who are fully vaccinated are complaining because they still turn up late for work because of the implementation of the said policy. Meanwhile, the LTO Caloocan made a surprise inspection as well along Samson Road. Aside from vaccination cards, they also now ask for other valid IDs to verify identities. All of them are also wearing body cams. The Department of Transportation says day 1 of implementation has been generally peaceful. That's because many passengers already made sure their vaccine cards are on hand. But still, more than 1,700 train passengers were apprehended yesterday for riding public transport despite not being fully vaccinated. Charles, aside from buses, the IAC is also stopping some taxis, and they are now planning to stop also some private vehicles that has plastic partitions inside their vehicles, identifying them or marking them as TNVS drivers. They said it is also part of the no vaccine, no ride policy for the public utility vehicles. Charles?
Thanks for that, Mon. That was Mon Gualvez reporting live from Quezon City. The health department says the country's testing capacity is currently at almost 90,000 per day. This amid claims that the country's daily case count is stuck between 37,000 to 39,000, simply because that's the ceiling of the country's testing capacity. Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere pointed out that during the peak of the Delta surge, we were averaging about 90,000 tests per day. But for the current surge, Vergere said there's a need for a policy shift that prioritizes the testing of the vulnerable population.
Nagpalabas po ang Department of Health ng ating policy shift. No? It's a policy direction wherein we need to prioritize also at this stage in our pandemic. I-prioritize natin yung mga vulnerable natin para ma-test natin because some of them are having a hard time also accessing the laboratories when in fact they are the ones really needing this most.
The DOH official also said that they're now encouraging the use of at-home test kits. With this, the agency is eyeing the voluntary reporting of antigen test kit results.
We are exploring that possibility. Meron ho kasi kami nitong Kira chat box kung saan ang community can just type in their questions and they can be answered right away. It's a 24/7 question and answer na pwede namin gawin. Ngayon, yan po ang ina-explore natin na baka pwedeng i-key-in ng ating mga citizens yung paggamit nila ng antigen at least we can get the sense no, kung ilan po yung mga numero na gumagamit nitong antigen.
The Commission on Elections has finalized and will soon release the ballot faces for the May 2022 elections. These include overseas ballots, which contain only the names of the candidates for president, vice president, senator, and party list groups. The overseas ballot is 25 inches long, while the longest ballot, measuring 30 inches, will be used in the BARMM. Ballots for non-BARM areas will be 26 inches long, and the COMELEC will announce the dates for the ballot printing in the coming days. Motorists are seeing a big-time hike in oil prices today. Gasoline prices have climbed 90 centavos per liter, while diesel prices increased up to 1 peso and 80 centavos. Motorists can also expect a 2 peso and 30 centavo increase in the price of kerosene. And the Energy Department attributes the big-time oil price hike to rising demand, despite the Omicron surge. An analyst says supply will begin stabilizing by the end of the first quarter. Thousands of cyber attack complaints were lodged before the central bank in the first 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic. For the BSP, this is reason enough to pass a Financial Consumer Protection Act. Mean Los Baños with the story.
Over the course of the pandemic, the Bangko Sentral received thousands of complaints on financial transactions totaling over 42,000. In 2021 alone, that amounted to 540 million pesos. Since 2019, that has already reached 2 billion pesos.
A majority of these cases have been deemed closed, but the process was long and arduous. And for many complaints, the resolutions were unfavorable to the consumer.
Central Bank Governor Ben Jocno tells the Senate cybercrimes rose as digital transactions gained traction during the pandemic. Based on BSP's records, the top 3 cyber frauds are identity theft, phishing and social engineering schemes, and payments done with no visual card checks. In 2020, hacking and malware attacks rose over 2,000% from previous years, while phishing increased to 302% from 2019.
In fact, complaints related to the use of internet banking and mobile banking account for 45.2% of the total complaints in 2021. Hackers and scammers took advantage of the digital infrastructure and consumer vulnerability to perpetrate crime.
Jocno laid down these figures before the upper house as he vouches for the passage of the Financial Consumer Protection Act. If passed into law, regulators will be able to hold hearings on consumer complaints and implement restrictions on unreasonable interests, fees, or charges. The Insurance Commission and the Securities and Exchange Commission also backed the measure. Senator Grace Poe, who chairs the Senate Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies, is also pushing for FCP.
Expansion comes with its own range of challenges, from the small-scale fraud and investment scams to the hacking of one of the largest banks in the Philippines, which left at least 700 accounts compromised. Yung perang
Paw says as digital banking makes it easier to reach the goal of making 70% of the population banked by 2023, it would be crucial that measures are in place to ensure that regulators can efficiently oversee the system. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
Time now for a quick look at some of today's headlines. The COMELEC Second Division junks a petition to cancel Bongbong Marcos' certificate of candidacy. But the petitioners are set to file an appeal within the week. The health department says the entire country is still at critical risk despite the downtrend in fresh COVID-19 infections. And golfer Yuka Saso lets go of her Philippine colors as she begins to represent Japan in the LPGA. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We're One News.
One Balita ngayon.
May nakikitang pagbaba ng mga kaso ng COVID-19 sa Maynila ang Octa Research. Ayon kay Professor Guido David, nasa negative 7% na lang ang weekly growth rate o bilis ng pagdami ng mga kaso sa lungsod. Bukod dyan ay bumaba na rin ang reproduction number sa 1.73 kumpara sa 4.30 noong nakaraang linggo. Ibig sabihin nasa 2 na lang ang nahahawa ng infected ng virus kumpara sa higit 4 kamakailan. Sa kabila nito, nangunguna pa rin ang NCR sa may pinakamaraming bagong kaso sa bansa. Sinundan nito ng Laguna, Cavite, Rizal at Bulacan. Kumpiyansa naman ang Octa Research na sa pagbaba ng kaso sa Maynila ay susunod na rin ang pababang trend sa Metro Manila. Base rin sa kanilang pagtataya, bababa sa 29,000 hanggang 34,000 ang bagong COVID-19 cases sa buong bansa mamaya. Ang mga aabangan sa One Balita Pilipinas. Kalahati ng mga sumasailalim sa swab test positibo sa COVID-19 ayon sa DOH. Department of Education planong palawigin sa Pebrero ang limited face-to-face classes sa mga lugar na nasa ilalim ng Alert Level 1 at 2. Opisyal ng DepEd makakausap tungkol dyan. At mga motorista sinalubong ng panibagong big-time oil price hike. Para sa mga Signal subscriber na nakaka-experience ng technical issue sa kanilang boxes, madali lang itong ayusin. I-unplug lang sa power outlet ang box at tanggalin ang circular cable na nasa likod. Isaksak ulit ito at hintayin mag-reboot. Kapag nakita ang no signal sa message sa TV screen, sabay na pindutin ang P+ at P- para mag-factory reset ang box. Ikabit ulit ang circular cable sa likod at sundan ang first-time installation setup. Kung kailangan ng assistance, bisitahin lang ang official Signal TV Facebook page. At para maiwasan ng COVID-19, ugaling mag-face mask, maghugas ng kamay at huwag kalilimutan ang social distancing. Ako si Chicky Verhel. Kami po ang 1PH, teleserbisyo para sa Pilipino.